Good morning and welcome to the Medina County Board of County Commissioners meeting. We call the meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In our prayer for the morning, Heavenly Father, we beseech your divine guidance in this meeting. Keep us ever mindful of our obligations. Grant us, dear Lord, wisdom, tolerance, and courage, that we may well serve our county and fulfill our trust. Amen. Steve, could I have a motion to approve the minutes of our two meetings?
Sure. Move to approve the meeting minutes of July 13th and July 15th.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Campbell?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes. We'll move on into our resolutions. First up this morning, we have Amy Lyon-Galvins, our Assistant County Administrator.
Good morning.
Good morning, Amy.
I just had to chew the hard candy I had in my mouth, so I apologize. I didn't realize I was up first today. I have 15 resolutions for your consideration this morning. The first one is amending the appropriation measure resolution. The second is amending the 2021 appropriations resolution by transferring appropriations. The third resolution is expenditure adjustments for various funds. Fourth resolution is revenue adjustments for various funds. Fifth is cash transfer for various funds. The sixth is authorizing the county auditor to transfer funds from various county department accounts to the Medina County cleaning revenue line item. The seventh is creation of the Drug Task Force fiscal year 21-22 fund and authorizing appropriations. The eighth resolution is the creation of a Community Corrections Act Intensive Supervision Probation Diversion Grant Fund for fiscal year 22-23 and authorizing appropriations. The ninth is creation of the Sheriff's Office Motorcycle Safety Grant Fund and authorizing appropriations. The 10th is the creation of the Sheriff's Office 2021 Community and Litter Grant Fund and authorizing appropriations. The 11th is approving a lease renewal with Macedonia Property Management for office space. This is for the Clerk of Courts, Medina Auto Title Office. It's the third of 5 two-year renewal options that they're exercising. So this is for the 24 months beginning July 1 of 21. The 12th resolution is declaring it a necessity to proceed with the submission of a renewal and increase of the county home levy on the November 2nd, 2021 ballot. The 13th resolution is declaring it a necessity to levy a tax. This is for the health department, and this is above the 10 mil limitation. It includes the renewal of a 0.7 mil tax levy with an increase of 0.15 mils. The 14th resolution is allowing expenses of county officials. There's 1 for the Commissioner's Department, 2 for the Sheriff's Office, and 1 request for transit. And the 15th resolution is approving claims for the week in the amount of $1,998,334.13.
Very good. Thank you, Amy. So I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the resolutions of 1 through 11 and 13 through 15. We're going to hold number 12, which is the county home resolution, until after or during discussion session.
So moved for those 14 resolutions.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Campbell?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we will move next to Nicole Lee, our Human Resources Assistant. Good morning, Nicole.
Good morning. I have one resolution today. I have a new hire at Transit,
3 rate increases, 1 at sanitary, 2 at the office for older adults, 1 leave of absence at transit, and 1 retirement at sanitary.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Hambley?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. Next, we have Jeremy Cinco, our sanitary engineer.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning, Jeremy.
One resolution for your consideration today, and that's authorizing a memorandum of understanding between the City of Medina and the Medina County Board of Commissioners relative to the transfer of water customers along State Route 18 in Medina Township. These are the Burgundy Bay and customers. The city has a large 20-inch concrete water main that they are hoping to get rid of, and we conveniently have a water main right there that we do operate, so.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Questions? Roll call, please.
Hambley?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Great, thanks.
We will move into our department updates. First, we have Richard Nelson, our Chief Building Official. Good morning, Richard.
Good morning, everybody. Okay, first page of the report, residential year-to-date, and the upper portion is pretty much still carrying the day for the value of construction. Residential's up quite a bit, commercial's down. Moving down, the average cost of new homes has slipped a little bit, but still very impressive at $425,000. Second page, our June receipts still a little bit higher than last June. In the third page, year-to-date receipts is down just a touch from last month's report, but still quite good. And then the following pages, of course, are all the small numbers for the different townships and the small information. Other than this report, I don't have too much to report on. Our department's still doing good. We're still doing real good with our response times.
Which are?
About
2 days in residential, averaging around 18 days in commercial.
Those are real good times.
Yeah, it's been real good. Our only issue here of late is one of our building inspectors is trying to get hired with the state, and so that could be a problem if that happens, if that works out for him. He doesn't know yet anything, but we did go ahead and jump on putting an ad out there so that we might get some applicants for that position if indeed he does go to the state. But it remains to be seen, and he might not even know for a couple weeks. So, but yeah, other than that, we're doing good. Doing good.
Richard, and maybe it's included in here somewhere, but is the number of homes year-to-date up significantly over the number of permits, residential permits for 2020?
The very first page, the bar graph at the bottom shows that first bar, of course, is 21. It's a little up over last year, but still down in average if you go back through the 4 or 5 years. New home starts.
So the bar graph is year-to-date, because it says month of June.
Oh, you're right, though. That is month of June.
Yeah, the one-page year-to-date receipts over here has the number. Actually, you've got 204 house permits year-to-date, June to 21, and then as of June 20th, June to 20 was 163. So it's up about 34%,
Yeah.
at least the house permits.
Yeah, we're up.
It seems up, yeah.
I think we're on track to do about 420 or 30 homes this year.
Any explanation why commercial's down?
Not really, other than that there's less need for new office space.
Very much so.
And some projects are still on hold. You know, we have projects that we looked at mid last year, early last year, and they were kind of put on hold probably due to COVID and are still in a holding pattern. And one of them may start up now. They say they're going to. One of them was so old that we practically have to start over again with them. But no, residential's definitely carrying the day. Yeah.
Richard, have you seen anything coming in from the Menards?
Not yet. Not yet. No. I don't know if they're gonna try to do that this year yet, this summer.
I would assume, I mean, they got the permit from, or the zoning approval from the township a month or so ago. I would have thought that they would have hit the ground running and start some
Yeah.
plans.
Yeah. No, I haven't seen that
A
yet.
large facility, it'll take some time to review that one.
Yes, it will. Yes.
So, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Bethany Detler from Economic Development.
Good morning. Good to see you all today.
Good morning.
So, reports from the economic development side of things. Through the first 6 months of the year, we continue to see a lot of economic development activity. Countywide, we are tracking 63 companies, which altogether have made $104.3 million in new capital investments. Now, that is, they've announced it as committed to investing. They've also absorbed or committed to build over 395,000 square feet of space. So I just wanted to note the capital spending number isn't an exact match with the capital numbers for commercial construction that Richard reports. Our capital investments include new machinery and equipment as new capital. And with more and more companies not able to find workers, we're seeing trends towards automation. So some of these investments are very much dependent on new machinery, which makes them more productive and keeps them in business. So that's what we're going for. Looking forward, we do see a great deal of business expansion activity in the pipeline. We're seeing interest in commercial and industrial development literally in every corner of Medina County. I did want to note that, as Richard said, some projects may be on hold. I think some of that may be due to supply chain issues. Prices of construction materials have gone up, and I do know of projects that are kind of waiting until that settles down a little bit. But although we do see evidence of a robust recovery, inflation is now becoming a worry, particularly with regards to wages. And workforce does continue to be the biggest issue of concern to our companies right now. Just among the companies that we know of, we can literally name them, we know of over 1,000 job openings in Medina County, and that doesn't include the many, many businesses that might have one or two here and there. The latest unemployment rate is 3.6%, and initial weekly unemployment claims have fallen below 100 since the end of June, and it's been consistent for a couple of weeks there. That is now lower than the number of initial claims the week before the shutdown last March, when things just skyrocketed. Even continuing claims on a weekly basis are lower than they were on March 14th, 2020. So the economy is definitely picking right back up where it left off. So I wanted to share some of the creative solutions that we've been working on this spring with regards to workforce development. Our office received a grant from the Summit Medina Workforce Development Board to put together a social media marketing campaign to promote manufacturing specifically, since so many jobs are created by manufacturing. They're the best paying jobs. It has quite a multiplier effect in the county. Since the campaign's inception, and this was just a number of weeks ago, maybe a month or so, we have made over 1 million impressions on various social media outlets to date, and we're looking at a number of different outlets, including Facebook and LinkedIn and TikTok. So that's where the kids are these days. So that social media campaign is leading up to an all-county hiring event, which will take place on Thursday, July 29th. We have 50 companies signed up to participate in this. They're conducting both virtual and in-person job interviews, so it's not like one place where, like a job fair, a traditional job fair, but, we're trying to get candidates to the companies directly. Those companies are listed on our worklocal.net website. At this point, we can add more manufacturers. So if you know of any that might be interested, they can contact Kathy Brighton-Butcher in my office, and her email is kathyb@medinacounty.org, and that's Kathy with a K. One of the other things that we did this past quarter is we undertook a postcard mailing campaign to drive attention to that worklocal.net website that features job openings just in Medina County. And one of the reasons we do this, Ohio Means Jobs is a huge partner, and they have, a statewide database. Our theory is that if a resident in Medina County goes to the Ohio Means Jobs site and types in, I want to be a welder, they're getting jobs all over the state, and we want them to focus on Medina County. So that's why we put the website together. And our office actually spent almost 10% of our annual budget on that campaign to get the word out to thousands of county residents. And so far that resulted in 624 new visitors to the website in the weeks after the mailing. So I also wanted to give you a few updates on other current initiatives. Legislatively, we've been tracking House Bill 123. We've been updating you on that. That would significantly change how the Community Reinvestment Area Property Tax Abatement Program works in Ohio. And as we've said before, because those changes would impact the level of transparency and accountability of one of our most widely used programs, we have opposed it. So this past quarter, the bill was approved by the Ohio House. I will thank our local House of Representatives legislators. They both voted against it. So we're pleased with that. But it passed anyway, and it has now been introduced in the Ohio Senate in one of the committees. No hearings have been scheduled yet. When that does get scheduled, I'm sure we'll be back and asking for your support to fight that bill in the Senate. I think the County Commissioners Association of Ohio was involved in providing feedback on that as well. One comment about the state budget bill. I was pleased to see that when the state passed the budget bill, the onerous provisions that would have greatly harmed the Medina County Fiber Network and our partners, that was removed. So I wanted to thank the commissioners for your support in opposing that language. Quick update on NOACA. The NOACA Regional Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy, or SEDS, Stakeholder Committee officially kicked off their year-long planning process last week. So I attended that meeting, and I will be engaged on that oversight committee over the next year. Denise Testa in planning is also on that committee. We'll be meeting at least every quarter, so I'll keep you posted on that work. Right now, they are looking at harmonizing the existing local strategies among NOACA's 5 counties. You all have approved Medina County's strategy, so we're pleased to see that they're not trying to take anything away, but it will be integrated and harmonized with the other plans. They also want to emphasize those regional issues that are important to all of us, like the airport. We all enjoy the airport. So the good thing is that I think NOACA seems to recognize the importance that local communities will need to be able to use this regional plan to obtain federal and state funding. So our priorities need to be there, and they want to keep that plan fairly broad and flexible. At least we're going to try to make sure that happens over the next year. NOACA also has an equity committee that met in June, and Kathy Brighton-Butcher from my office is serving on that committee. That's really just getting started, so we don't have an update there. As I wrap up my report, I wanted to let everyone know that Medina County Economic Development's office has now moved to Suite 119 on the first floor. It's in the space formerly occupied by Tax Maps, and I'm glad Stephen's in the audience. I wanted to thank Stephen and his team at the County Facilities Department. They did a beautiful job in renovating the space, so it allows us to function even more efficiently than before. So we are planning an open house in September, but feel free to stop in anytime and say hello. So I'll answer any questions if you have them.
Bethany, any update on Medina Fiber?
They're moving along. We're continuing to work every day on doing all the things that it takes to, get the permits and get the approvals and get the word out. So right now, we just want people to go to the Medina Fiber website and sign up if you're interested. They are, finalizing plans as to where to build out next. So obviously, the areas with the most demand will get that attention. So.
Excellent. And they are starting to turn up customers.
They are starting to, I guess you could say they're in beta testing, right? So over the next week or so, that first group of customers will be testing and working out the bugs, and we'll be looking at doing a ceremony in their new Seville office in October. So we're still working out the details on that. So Carol, stay tuned because you're going to be involved.
I have a question. For those of our manufacturers that are in the linkage or in the supply chain for the auto manufacturers, how are they doing? Because I know there's been some real issues, obviously, with some of the major manufacturers in the United States.
We heard a lot of issues early in the year, probably more in the first quarter. Things seem to have settled down and worked out, but I know that in talking with the companies that we're meeting with, their backlog of orders is higher than ever. So things, I think, are beginning to pick up. But I talked to one company where they said, last year, well, before COVID, their backlog was maybe $3 million worth of orders. They're now up to $15 million. So it's taking a little bit longer to get to that just because of the workload, and they need 40 employees by fall so that they can start reducing those delivery times. So I think they're working their way through it, but I still think that there are some national level issues that need to be dealt with that would help all of
At least
us.
for them, the issue isn't really, as you say, their future orders, it ends up being the workforce.
Workforce is a major problem, and the other, and I guess this is a problem, but there's such a demand now that people are out and about, the sale of cars, used cars, and so when there's too many people buying it all at once, then the price goes up, there are shortages, and so the market is just trying to catch up with all of that. So they're working on it, but it's short-term pain, I think.
It's too bad we don't have any computer chip manufacturers.
Yes.
They would be highly in demand right now.
Well, we'll work on that. We are seeing a lot of inquiries from the state level, which passes along the leads to us from companies looking for projects, seeing a ton of interest in very large sites for electronic vehicle battery parts makers. So they're seeing the wave of the future, and we're seeing it right now in the demand for those kinds of buildings. We have a shortage of 1,000-acre industrial sites, but throughout the state, not just Medina County. But so there's definitely a trend toward that industry.
Very interesting.
All right.
Any other questions? Thank you, Beth.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The commissioners have a couple of resolutions here. Our first resolution is commending Patrick R. Grimes for 22 years of service with Medina County. Patrick was hired in April of 1999 in the office of the sanitary engineer, and he has been a water distribution worker his entire career. So we would like to commend him for his service and congratulate him on his retirement.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Hambley?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes. Our next resolution is amending the membership of the Medina County Railroad Task Force. The group met a couple of weeks ago, and we thought it was appropriate to continue the task force, even though most of the crossings in Medina County have been addressed with gates and signs appropriately. So the amendment really is to designate those entities that will have a representative on the task force and not necessarily the representatives themselves.
Move to approve the resolution.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Hambley?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes. Lastly, we have a liquor permit filing. This is a transfer of a liquor permit from Hinckley Convenience, Inc., DBA Hinckley Convenience and Gas, to Parmar Oil Company, located at 1321 Ridge Road, Hinckley Township. This is for a C1, C2, and D6, which is beer and wine for carryout and sale of intoxicating liquor on Sunday between the hours of 10, 11, or 11 and midnight. And we just need to read that into the record. So next, we will move into public comment. And I sense that we have some folks from the county home that would like to comment. So, Carol? Sure. And Carol, name and address, please, for the record.
Yes, my name is Carol Farron, 3335 Myers Road, Medina Township. I was unable to attend the public hearing on the proposed levy for the Medina County Home last Thursday. I'm a very big supporter of the county home and would like to express my approval of the .075 levy increase that will hopefully be on the ballot. 20 years ago, the residents of this county made it clear that they support this home. Every 5 years, the levy has passed without question. The new increase should be a no-brainer. I believe this is the first millage increase being asked for the home in 20 years. They have been excellent stewards of our tax dollars. My understanding is for a $100,000 home, this levy would be equivalent to $7.77 a year, which to me is very reasonable. If we learned anything from 2020, we know that we don't know what tomorrow holds. Money may be in the general fund today, but what about 2 to 3 years from now? It's not guaranteed. And we don't know who the commissioners will be in 2 to 3 years either. Greg Brown has done an excellent job in laying out the facts and in running the county home. I feel the citizens of Medina County will support the important mission of the home and caring for our most vulnerable citizens as they have been for the last 20 years. I think there's a lot of people that possibly are here that are in support of this, but they may not talk. So just so you know, there are, I think, if a few of them here, if they raise their hands, that aren't going to talk, that they believe in this, and hopefully you will go forward and put this on the ballot. Okay?
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to speak on behalf of the county home? Yes, sir.
My name is Tom Bohr. I live at 3747 Watkins Road, Medina Township. And while not the real reason I came this morning, but certainly in support of this, Brian Farron and I joined hands across the aisle, if you will, 20 years ago to talk about this because our county home is one of our most valuable assets in an old county. And it took Tom Barr and I believe Steve, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Finally came to their senses and listened to us that campaigned for an opportunity to let the voter decide where the money should come from. And we put that humongous tax issue on the ballot. I got a real kick out of Bob Finan's article a couple weeks ago about how long you talked about increasing this .075 ad. And I thought to myself, boy, I wish a few other things would get this much of your time and effort, but seemingly don't. And yet, and it's been 3 administrators ago, she promised me there's a joint room upstairs above the stairs that when my wife and I get to that point, we can be there, okay? So I have a vested interest in this. My family's from down in Jackson Township, Ohio. Actually, there is a Bohr's Corners down there. And I visited many years ago at a reunion in a house my father was born in down there. The gentleman is still farming. He's raising pigs. If any of you know me in town, I always describe my name as Bohr. And do you know what a Bohr is? Pig with an attitude. Okay? So please support this because the voters will tell you how important it is, and the dollars that we're talking about, you've got to be kidding me that we'll spend this much time talking about it. But thanks to Steve and Tom Barr, and I will say, and I won't mention the other name, fought us so hard 20 years ago. I hope she never has to go to a home someplace because I don't think she'll be greeted well, whether it's private or public. But be that as it may. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Brian? Sure.
Brian Farron, 3335 Myers Road, Medina Township. I think 2 big groups to consider here. we have the County Home Advisory Council, which I served for 14-some years and is still in force. That group was put together as a result of the first levy to monitor the funds, to monitor the superintendent, to monitor the residents, to make sure our tax dollars are well spent and in accordance with what the voters asked for and approved. The other group is Friends of Medina County Home. They're a nonprofit fundraiser organization that helps the residents with birthday presents, ball games, horse shows. They get them out and do activities that we take for granted, but the residents may not have access to do so. So there are two very significant portions of this issue that I think the public needs to understand. This is and Tom is right, we couldn't be further apart politically probably at one point in time, not so much anymore. But we did join forces, as did every service club, 4-H group, church group. You can imagine the support this issue received. And to Tom's point, yeah, a lot of time was invested, a lot of energy. I just hope that everyone understands that what Carol had mentioned about the general fund is certainly true. It could be an easy way, but I think if I was in Greg's shoes, having a 5-year projection of what money I have coming in, knowing what I have to spend, I would do a whole lot better job managing that home and the residents if I have a revenue stream that I know I can count on. And I think the levy will do just that. So I encourage your support, and thank you for your time, Commissioners.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you for your comments, and thanks for coming around in your political views to the right side. Anyone else on the county home? Carol?
Carol Carter, 102 Pin Oak Trail, Seville, Ohio, mayor of the village of Seville. I was raised at the county home, not as a resident, but could have been. My grandparents were one of the first ones there when it was straw and tick mattresses. And the memories of that, I got goosebumps because we were ornery kids, the 4 of us. And the wheelchair races in the attic with the wicker high wheelchairs. But as an elected official and dealing with general funds, you never know. You don't. And the memories I have of the county home, my sister of the family was the last administrator at the county home. And I just, with planning and with the support you have of keeping this home alive, how many years have you guys taken it over? And it was scary when I heard that that was what was going to happen because, you know, you don't always have the support. You know, and as we get older, we're getting younger generations to help support, keep this going. But I surely hope it stays the way in which it is instead of general fund. So,
thank you, Mayor. Anyone else on the county home? Steve?
All right. Yes, we have a resolution that would be declared necessary to proceed with the submission of a renewal and increase of the county home levy on the ballot November 2nd, 2021 ballot. I so move.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I would like to, I thank those of you here to come and speak regarding the county home levy. We had a public hearing. That certainly was at my request, and I think that was very important to have the opportunity during not business hours, but other in the evening to give others the ability to come in and talk about the county home. And I don't want to thank Superintendent Brown for all his work he's been doing. I didn't vote to, I wasn't a commissioner when they hired you. The commissioners did a really good job. I think you really care about the residents have come over to learn. You love what's going on. You love the institution, and you're devoting all your time and effort as well as your family members, which is those of us from the Farnsworth family recognize very well. It is a family institution as well as a government organization. But given its history, not every county has one. There's only, I think, 7 remaining in the state. And at one point in time, the supervisors of the county home were elected. And slowly the county commissioners, I think by the teens or 20s, after the change in the state constitution, counties kind of took over, but a superintendent still retains some independent authority of the county commissioners. And a lot of counties had progressed, and certainly there was a lot of debate in 2000 and 2001 and then 2002 regarding this issue when it was then had to be placed on the ballot. I was one of those commissioners that had made the mistake of closing it, and not looking to the people and discussing with them. I had to publicly concede that I had not been considering that, and so fortunately the voters have approved it time and time again to have independent funding of that, that they can count on, as Brian Farron has indicated very clearly. This issue itself is, when you look at it, I think Carol was right, is there is no increase in millage, but there was an increase in 2006, a replacement. Former Commissioner Geisman was here at the county hearing last week, and I kept saying, like, I've heard this before. And indeed, so I looked at the minutes from 2006 when we had a replacement issue on the ballot. It was another 2-to-1 vote to put the replacement. And the same argument, I look in the minutes, I'm willing to share with anybody, where she opposed the replacement county home levy. She says basically, don't need to increase taxes because the county has the money to be able to provide it. We can provide grant funding and so forth. And I think wisely we decided in 2006 not to fall into an easy trap of, well, we've got general fund money, we've got other sources of grants, we'll use that and not have an independent authority. We're talking about, comes down to a dedicated funding source, without a doubt. The budget that you have to live within. Part of the argument back in 2006 is also that we weren't charging residents enough. So Tom, if you are rich, you have the independent wealth that I know you have, and you come to the county home, you'll be charged for the full amount. Okay, I just want to let you know, okay? All right, okay. You can afford it.
I was late this morning because I'm going to spend it down. I'm going
Okay, all right, but regardless, so the issue was whether we do charge residents that can't afford it, do pay for it, and that's the way it's meant. But those that can't, guess what? The county can afford to do it, and that's the purpose of the levy. That has always been the intention of the levy, to provide that service, and an independent or a group that we've appointed when we created the advisory council to review those expenses, make sure the level of service doesn't go down, and then as some Board of County Commissioners that enter into a dispute as to whether that's an appropriate expense or not, and so forth, or the level of service, maybe you want to close down a wing. I guess that's the danger of having a separate source. Is that if you have a contingent upon a Board of Commissioners that change, as well as circumstances for all the other parts of general purpose government that county commissioners are responsible for, the tendency is like, well, maybe we'll just close down a wing and we can still just limp along. Well, that's a cycle of decline that actually is a disinvestment strategy. And I don't think that that's what this county needs, and that's certainly not what I would support. I do want to point out that this levy does involve I think, a modest increase in taxes, nothing that has been increased since 2006, but the collection year is 2023. It's not this year. It's not next collection year. It's 2023 collection year for the next 5 years beyond that. So you ostensibly will have another Board of Commissioners. I mean, there's that possibility. But it comes down to is every year we make budgeting decisions. Now, I could support, and I'll throw that out there for discussion, I would support a renewal if we would set us, now as I understand that this budget provides $1.8 million, the additional revenue needed. I mean, if we did a renewal, we'd be in a deficit of $1.8 million the commissioners have to make up. If we want to set aside for our budget $1.8 million and just set it there for the operating expenses of the county home that they could draw on as they don't have sufficient revenue, I might even think of that. But I don't think that's a good idea, because we have a lot of other demands in this county that the Board of Commissioners are responsible for. But we know we also, number one, the people have been supportive of this and will continue to support it, and I urge that, but this is our best deal. This is our best estimate of what the costs are. We're not going to come back and say, oh, well, if you don't approve this, we're going to come back and ask for less. In my mind, if the voters decide that they don't want the county home any longer, well, I guess the voters have decided they don't want the county home any longer. And, okay, that's not what my choice will be. But it's one, well, we're going to full faith, I think, in our best efforts to determine what the costs are. We ask that you can do this, and if whatever reason, for at least for the next for this election, if the voters determine that in 2023 they can't afford the $2.77 increase per year per 100,000, okay, vote accordingly. But I'm hopeful, and I'm confident that the voters will do exactly as they've done the last number of times it's been on the ballot. Support the county home, its concept, its approach, the love of the people and care for the people of this county. And that I obviously urge that the voters support this, and I support the proceeding with this, putting this renewal with a increase on the ballot in November.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
You want to go next?
Sure. Although I've been pretty publicly clear that my preference would have been a straight renewal, I do respect and I will support the decision of the County Home Advisory Committee.
I would tell you that I feel very fortunate that as I go around the county, I get to talk about what a great place Medina County is to live, work, and play. And it is for most people. But we have to remember that there are folks in the county that are less fortunate and need help. And the county home fulfills a very important function for those individuals. And Greg has done an excellent job of running it for the last couple of years. It really is a very unique place, and if you haven't visited it, I would encourage people to go out and visit. And now with COVID being over, if they can, right, Greg? From my perspective, I think costs should be charged where costs are incurred. And the cost to run the county home should be charged to the county home and not to the general fund. And so having a dedicated source for supporting the county home, I think is crucial. And as Steve said, if the voters decide that this is not something that we want for Medina County, then they can vote accordingly. I think that it is something that has overwhelmingly been supported by voters over the last 20 years, and my belief is that they will continue to be supported by voters going forward in the future. So I would encourage everybody to support the levy and to keep the county home in place. Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Hambley?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes. Motion passed. I would also indicate we received a letter from Russ and Melinda Clutter in support, and I won't read it into the record, but I just want to acknowledge that we did receive it for the record. Okay, any other public comment this morning on any subject matter? Hearing none, we will move on into discussion session. For the county home folks, if you want to stay for discussion, you're more than welcome to. If you have other things to do, you're welcome to depart.
Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yes. Hey, Tom.
Scott, you want to lead us off?
Good morning. I want to talk a little bit about the ARP funding. There were some projects that we wanted to do with the ARP funding. One being the county jail. There's the chiller and the boiler out there need to be replaced, as well as installation of a filtering system. And the range that estimated quotes on that were $400,000 to $600,000. We finally got quotes yesterday, and it came in high at $599,000. So I would like to continue. I'd like to move forward with that. That's something that we need to do. The chiller is at end of life, and if it goes down, we lose all the air conditioning in that facility. The other project that we wanted to do was we wanted to do the county home project, where there was a boiler, a filtering system, a central air system in that facility. We got quotes on that. We estimated that to be like approximately, $400,000 total. That one, unfortunately, because of the complexity and because of the construction, it came in at $742,000, with $190,000 of that being for the boiler. So my recommendation is that we not do that project, that we replace the boiler. We can use general fund monies for that, or we can use county home funding for that. We'll just deplete the balance quicker. But I think we should probably just go ahead and use the capital, move money from general fund into capital and do that project. And that's something that needs to be done too. That boiler is, boy, it was end of life years ago, and it's something we need to replace. So if it's okay with you, I guess I'd like to go ahead and get a resolution prepped for the jail, allocating that money for the jail project, and then go ahead and maybe move some money into capital for the boiler at the county home.
Yes, to make it clear, the ARP money for HVAC would have to, because it involves
It's a filtering
infectious
system.
control, spreading, and all that kind of stuff to make sure it meets the criteria of that money.
Correct.
And so therefore, because of the, I guess, the restrictions on it, we couldn't use it just for a boiler.
Correct.
Okay, all right. So I guess that'd make it clear to everybody that, yeah.
But if we combine it all into a single project, we can use the ARP money for both, correct?
If we did a filtering system at the county home, we could. If we spent the $742,000, we could use the ARP monies.
Basically, you have to expand the scope of
Yes.
the project much larger to about 800, 900,000.
Yes.
No, 742.
742.
Sorry, 742. Sorry.
So
Yeah.
we assumed, our estimate, I should say assumed, our estimate was like 400 grand, correct?
Yeah.
Steven?
Mhm.
And the actual estimate came in at 742, so
Mhm.
$350,000 more.
Mhm.
I guess I would prefer to use ARP money
Me
and
too.
do the project.
Me too.
Okay.
Than I would take money out of the general fund, because we have more flexibility with money in the general fund than we do the ARP money.
We do.
And so, I mean, it's something we're going to need to do. I mean, it needs to be done, correct?
I have a question for Stephen. I mean, wasn't part of this, doing this system relieved us of the need of new windows too? Like, wasn't there a benefit to this project? that we were origin-
There's a benefit to it from an air conditioning system. So right now, we put in window units for all of the different rooms to provide air conditioning in the summertime. This new system would actually give us the ability to still control all the rooms, but it'd be one giant system that actually kind of set by itself, and then provided air to all of those windows. It would give us better efficiencies in the summertime from energy use. I'm not too concerned with the windows. I think I don't think we're going to gain a lot of energy use from the windows piece, but from an air conditioning standpoint, it'll save us from putting in window air conditionings and taking them out every single year. And it also provides a better filtration system inside of the building. However, $542,000 or $562,000 was a really hefty price tag in my view. $190,000 for the boiler system, which needs to get done. That boiler was installed in 1965, so that boiler's significantly aged. It's done well, but that's where I sit. However, ARP funding can't do just a boiler, so.
So it's a lot of money, but it's a lot of money because of the age and structural components of the building that have to be worked around.
And because of the design of the older part and the newer parts and all that? Okay,
and copper. Copper seems to be extremely expensive these days.
Yes.
So there's a lot of copper lines that get run in that building if we do the air conditioning system, because each individual room would actually have controls.
So would we have that connected into our train tracer system?
We would. We're still debating on whether we're going to continue with the train tracer system or offset that with a new system that we have control over ourselves. But yeah, it would be controlled through that system or through a system.
Yeah, so we would have the ability to adjust temperatures and whatever remotely. And
correct. We can we could view it, know what's happening, and then make alterations in it at any point in time from any area.
Right. So my suggestion was that we move forward with the whole HVAC system.
I feel like this was the exact type of project that the ARP money was designated for.
I'm good with moving forward with it, yep, using ARP for the entire project.
Okay. We will go ahead and we will prep a resolution probably for next week maybe or the week after for both projects for the total cost. So, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Also, just want to let you know that yesterday, I'd like to thank Ohio Edison, Frontier, Medina Fiber, and Armstrong. They were able to get all the utilities moved.
This is at the courthouse?
At the courthouse.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, in one day, in the afternoon. The court shut down yesterday at noon. Ohio Edison put up the poles, and by 5 o'clock, actually 5:30 last night, everything had been moved. And I've not gotten any phone calls today, so everything seems to be working well.
Well,
so
if the phone's not working, then...
Everybody.
yeah. So I'd like to thank those companies for the work that they did, and it's greatly
Excellent.
appreciated.
That's good news.
It is.
Keep the courts moving.
Yes.
Anybody else? Amy? Jeremy?
Involta took a look at our PO system for the sanitary department and basically found that, basically told us that it's time to replace it. So it was, I believe, a home-written program, and it just doesn't meet today's standards. So we have looked at 4 PO systems, and of the 4 systems, the most economical fit our processes to a T. So it's about $1,000 or about $10,000 a year that we would have to pay for it. But we'd like to go ahead and move forward with that. So that's about it.
All right, so we'll have a resolution next week for that?
With it being under 10, I don't know if we would need one.
No. Do we need a resolution?
For our software purchasing?
Yeah, I think Jeremy can probably just sign it.
Okay.
Oh, we'll have the documents run through
Legal and all?
Yeah, through,
Okay.
yep,
All right.
exactly. So
Excellent.
perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Jeremy. Amy, did you have something? Richard?
No, sir.
Greg, anything you want to add? Bethany? Steve?
Yeah, actually, we received a notice regarding the Ohio specific opioid settlement discussion.
Right.
I guess they're doing a statewide in-person meeting down on Friday at 10 a.m. this Friday. And this is, I know that we have a separate, but this is the one that's statewide. Should we be talking to county prosecutor's office to see if they're going to send somebody down?
Yeah.
To be represented on this, or yeah?
I touched base with Forrest, and Forrest is going to be attending in person.
Oh, good.
Okay, good.
All right.
Good. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Yeah,
That's good.
we had somebody on. I know that they're trying to work out as to how the statewide, if there is a settlement, would be distributed, and that obviously Medina County has a great interest in that. So, okay, good. That's all I had.
When we were at our shovel ceremony for the courthouse, Council President John Coyne approached us about, I wish the Farrens were still here, about a historical cornerstone and what we would put in it. So if we're going to do that, I guess we have to think about what's going to go into our historical cornerstone.
Why don't you contact Farrens?
I will, because I think that they should have some
Sure.
input on that, being the historical experts that they are.
Right.
How big a space is that?
I don't know.
Probably as big as you want to make it.
Well, I wasn't talking about putting any individual in there, but sorry.
Jimmy
Well, maybe I was. So.
But President Coyne seemed to be very interested in
Yes,
maybe
indeed.
the city having some input on putting something into. Or
That's interesting. Okay.
look to think
So you're
about
going to
it.
contact
I
Farrens?
will
All
contact.
right, excellent, excellent. I have a couple of things. Do you have anything else, Colleen?
I do not.
All right. So we have been talking over the last couple of months about our ARP funds and scoring the projects.
Yes.
And what would you all think about having a meeting to get together so that we can review the projects prior to us individually scoring the projects, and then we can score them, and then maybe at a commissioners meeting we can review the scores just to see if we're all sort of in agreement, if there are any outliers, and then we can move that process forward.
Amy, do you know when we'll have our binders ready?
We received several additional applications last week, so we've got to share that information and then go through to identify, at least my expectation was, is we would identify in advance those that were eligible and those that were ineligible to help vet initially which ones would be eligible. So that could be probably completed over the next week to have those ready for you within the next week or two.
Have you gotten a project from the Village of Seville? sitting right behind you?
Yeah, but I've seen them through.
Yeah.
You may be getting one.
So-
No. I have not.
That's not quite what we heard the other day, was it?
Okay.
It may be,
Unless it's in
it may
my
be coming.
inbox. I mean,
It may be
I will
coming.
also look, I'm still catching up, but, also wanted to point out that I've not seen anything get released as the final rule. Part of what we were hoping for was that the interim rule comment period would have closed, and then we would see something from the feds coming out in the form of a final rule. They had extended the deadline once. I'm not sure what that current expectation is for getting a final rule, but I will also try to understand that to see if that plays a part
Yeah,
in when you'd like to start scoring.
Amy, I saw something just the last couple of days that said that they have issued an update. So I don't know if that is a final
I don't think
update or
so. I
not,
think it's
but
just-
it was an update.
FAQs.
To the FAQs,
Correct,
yeah.
right.
but-
Correct, but not to the final
Not to
rule
the final
itself.
rules, so,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
I know, given that some of these are a little bit more complex than others, is it possible with some of these, we might want to invite the people that are proposing it, or groups that are proposing this to come in? I know the broadband, I certainly would like to have, meet with us, David Corrado talk about exactly, and then we could have some discussion regarding that proposal.
Sure. How would you propose that we select those that we want to invite folks in and those that we don't think we need?
I guess if any one of us
You just
want to
do a quick run through it and say.
Once we get the binders, say, yeah, definitely, and if any one of us wants it.
Kind of like a budget
they can-
hearing.
Kind of like a
Budget
budget hearing.
hearing
Yep,
presentation.
like a budget hearing, at least give them the opportunity to answer some questions before I end up grading it. So like I said, some are more complicated than others.
Right.
Others are pretty simple. I mean, and I
Here he
think some of the
comes.
departments too that, I mean, I don't want to identify, maybe the department that asked for a staff refrigerator might be willing to come forward and explain how ARP money should be used for that purpose, but, okay. Maybe they'll withdraw it.
Yeah, what we can do, there are a lot of projects, but numerous agencies have submitted a lot of projects. So what I would recommend is we could schedule like 3 or 4 days, similar to what we do with budget hearings. Just have everybody come in, present their requests, prioritize their requests. That gives you the ability to ask questions, get input, and then gives you the ability to really understand what the projects are. And then you can score, and then we'll put the scores together, and then you come together and talk about
I like
each
that.
of those, and then make a final decision. I mean, we're really in no hurry to spend the money, and nothing's going to happen quickly on this. Like, we don't even have final rules yet, and we were supposed to get that, I think, 2 weeks ago. So we can set it up for maybe next week or the week after and schedule. We can do it over a 2-week period, and we can just move forward that way. But we have, I think the score sheets are done. They saw the information's filled in except for the projects that we've had requests for, the new ones. So everything's there. We can get you your binders probably, by the end of the week, and then that will give you a chance to look through it before we actually have these meetings.
I like the idea. It is public money.
Mhm.
It also gives the opportunity for the public to also view
Right.
the expenditure of this money.
So we could have
Yeah.
a couple of work sessions. I guess we have the fair coming
The
up.
fair,
Fair
yeah.
week is not a good week
No.
to do it. So maybe we could even do a couple of days and maybe even an evening if we're going to have. How many projects are there, Amy? Do you know in total?
23-ish.
So if we're going to have 23 different groups come in, I mean,
Only
some
a
of
few
some of
days.
them might only
Some
take
we
a few
don't need to,
minutes.
yeah, right, right. Yeah.
But others, maybe a half hour or more. And some of them may not be conducive to coming in during the day.
Mhm.
Maybe an evening would be better. So how does the week of August 16th look for?
Well, it'd be fine. Don't look, but yeah.
I think pretty good.
It's on the day of the week.
August 16th is a Monday. What day we could do one session on the 17th after our commissioners meeting.
Mhm.
So if we did
The 18th
even
and the 19th.
Well, the 19th.
even 2 hours and then do one the evening of the 17th.
That'd be fine. The 19th and 20th, the CCA was doing the commissioners, our first in-person, so they're doing new commissioners plus also the board retreat. as well as the Board of Commissioners, or the
So you want to do daytime?
So 19th and 20th is
Do you want to do daytime and nighttime and the 17th, and then also do the 18th?
That'd be fine.
I think that would work for me.
Yeah.
So does that work?
Sure.
Rhonda or Scott, for you all?
Mm-hmm.
The 18th, are you going to do daytime?
I can.
Yeah. Why don't we do like a late afternoon from, say, 3 to 5?
Sure.
That might be more conducive for some folks. So we'll do one like at 10:30 to 12:30 on Tuesday the 17th, and then we can do one from
6 to 8.
6 o'clock to 8 o'clock on the 17th.
Okay.
And then we'll do the one on the 18th from 3 o'clock
Okay.
to 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Sounds good.
That's good.
And that's just to
That gives us plenty
collect
of time to
collect
really review
information.
the binders too.
Understand the proposals.
Sure. Hopefully the
Requests.
rules will come out from the Department of Treasury
Hopefully.
by then, so.
Okay,
I think it's a good idea.
perfect.
Okay.
Good with that?
Yeah.
All right.
Fine with that.
Okay, so we also were contacted by the Northern Medina County Chamber Alliance regarding a Veterans Business Owners event that they're having on November 17th, and they wanted a resolution from the commissioners recognizing the various, are you both okay with that?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
You're going to
sure.
respond to Debbie?
I'm sorry?
You're going to respond to Debbie then?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I will respond. And just sort of an announcement, the state passed, I'm not sure what bill it is, Steve, but $310 million is available in grants to small businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So particularly food and beverage, entertainment and lodging businesses that were started in 2020 and suffered due to COVID.
It seems like the application's easy too.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at it, but
Right,
I
it
know that we
seemed-
had
yeah.
a number of
Right.
businesses that submitted that didn't qualify in our program because they were new.
Right.
And we had some, there was an exercise or two facilities that had just gotten into business and were struggling. So I just want to make sure that folks are aware that there's $310 million available through the Ohio Department of Development. And lastly, this is very recent, Senate Bill 52, which is the wind and solar siting. I think it was signed by the governor.
It was.
And gives the county commissioners a significant amount of authority and responsibility over whether wind and solar can be located inside the unincorporated areas of the county. My thought was that we should reach out to the Township Association and maybe get a recommendation from them on whether we prohibit wind and solar in Medina County or we designate areas.
My understanding, we don't have to take action at all. So the question that it comes down to is if we want to, if there's any need to. And so at this point, there's nothing pending
no
or
big
even talking
projects,
about,
yeah.
this is talking about large-scale project that would go before the Ohio Public Siting Board.
Right.
And so we don't even have to take action. I guess I was waiting for a brief from the CCAO, and I know it's going to be part of the discussion under CCAO. This is not anything that the Commissioners Association asked for. I'll just want to point out, this is one where essentially they were trying to reach a compromise between the proponents, as I understand from Representative Ray, who's Vice Chair of Public Utilities, when this amendment came in that created this. This was a compromise that they ended up throwing the commissioners into a position where they're given this authority without asking and vetting the commissioners what they really wanted in order to resolve an issue between, at that point it was township trustees and other areas getting involved as well as or not have the authority. And it was a compromise. And so I think this is something still trying to work its way out, and I'm hesitant even, certainly if any of the townships want us to consider it, that's something we could talk about, but at this point, I'm kind of like wait and see. I'm not sure we have any huge projects even being proposed.
I guess my thought
Yeah.
is should we take a position on it before we actually are in the fire and have a project that is proposed? And I mean, I don't think there's any rush that we need to do this right away, but I guess I would look at it and say we probably, my opinion is we should be proactive on it and take a stance. And,
Well, I get,
and then,
my question is can you prohibit one type and retain the other, such as can you retain the ability to do the large solar fields, but prohibit the wind farms?
don't know.
Well, so that's where the questions lie with me. It's like,
Again,
okay, yeah.
I'm not saying we need to do this
Right,
immediately,
yeah,
but
yeah, okay.
as long as you're looking into it more.
Oh, yeah, I
and
think,
you
yeah, I'm
see
going to share whatever
they
they start sending out, but I know that they're starting to work up the commissioner bulletin that they do, and there'll be some further discussion as to what the association is going to recommend that boards start doing regarding this.
Okay.
And I think like a wait and see at this point, since it was a
I'm good
last
with
minute compromise.
Okay, all right,
So,
excellent.
yeah.
That's all I have.
That's all I have to.
And nothing else. All right, move to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Hambley?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes. Thank you, have a great week. We'll see you next week.